terms of training, but I've not yet secured a job, and that has given us some challenges in terms of deciding do we move together, because as I said, I reside in Mangalore right
Right.
now, but probably my job opportunities don't seem that great here. So
Right.
yeah, that's sort of understanding my boundaries there, and making sure we work as a team is something that I'd like to learn more about.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Would anyone else like to share? Dr. Chitra? I thought you turned your video on to share. Anyone?
We have Dr. Shalini Mishra mentioning
Yes,
enhance
yes.
the leadership.
Is it something in the chat?
Yes, sir. And Dr. Leena Jain says to connect with women like me.
Okay, wonderful. To connect with women like me, to enhance my leadership skills, that's amazing. So let's see how many of these things we can fulfill in 2 hours. And maybe, at the end, I'll just check with you if you want to do a few more sessions. Because as you can imagine, these are lifelong issues that we have. So I don't have a magic wand. I wish I did. And I could, help people. But it's a process we all have to go through, right? So why are you here? One is, of course, what brought you to this meeting. But another very deeper question that I always like to start off with is, why are you here? Why are you here on this planet in this particular lifetime? Right? So your physical birth, the day we celebrate, is the day you were born. But there is an even more important day, which is the day you find out why you are here. And many people who I work with, so in my work in the NGO, I've been mentoring young people across many countries, many medical students, midwifery students. We've had people from all kind of walks of life, and a lot of them seem a little lost, and many of us also. I'm sure we went through many years where we were lost. Yeah, like Dr. Mekha very kindly shared right now, that doesn't know what decision to take, what is going to be right or wrong. The problem is we are always searching for something. We've been made to believe that your purpose is something you're going to find, like it's a treasure. The truth is, your purpose is something you create, right? And very often you at certain stages, certain milestones, you feel very confused. You don't know, because there is a lot of conditioning, a lot of things you've been told about what you should feel, what you should think, what you should do. But the day you find out why am I here and what is it that I want to fulfill, in my opinion, that's really our day of true birth. So many of you are here because, again, as you have some of you have filled out the form. There was a Google form that was sent earlier, and many people are here because they're really struggling with a lot of issues. There's no work-life balance. There are issues with emotional exhaustion because you feel like you're doing unpaid emotional labor for everybody, whether it's at work, whether it's at home. Personal relationships get affected because you're not able to balance these things. Many of us, I would say probably even most of us, are facing a toxic work culture to some degree or the other. Many people are feeling burnt out and hopeless. And there is constant stress due to patient care. On top of all this, as women doctors, we have this additional burden of constant stress due to patient care, right? You can't drop the ball over there. And many of us feel isolated. Why is that? Because the kind of sharing we are doing here today in this group is not always possible in other groups, because other people are not safe spaces for us. If you share something, they may actually take advantage of that and misuse that information. So we feel very isolated and we feel that I have to hold on to all this inside me. I can't let it out because that's going to cause damage. So when I asked people who filled out the form, about 15 people responded, and these were the top 3 challenges people faced at work. And as you can see, the largest number were exactly the ones that I shared right now. Unable to manage boundaries, emotional exhaustion, toxic work culture, feeling isolated. But also there are smaller ones in between, right? So the toxic work culture is there, but there's also harassment. Unable to manage boundaries means you feel burnout and hopeless. It affects your personal relationships. So a lot of these things are interconnected. There's no one issue that one can point out and say, okay, if we fix the toxic work culture, everything is going to be okay. Right? So the source of all this is the inability to create boundaries. Because when you don't create boundaries, what happens? You don't have ownership over your own life and your own energies. Your energies, your attention, your time, everything is leaking out from these unhealthy boundaries and ending up with other people who may either not be deserving of it, may not even be needing it, and you are not getting anything back from them. right? So this adds up to a whole set of, you have expectations. Let me give you a simple example. Any of you who are parents and you have children, we always feel, oh, I've done so much for them, right? I sacrificed so much, I worked so hard. I expect that they will reciprocate in some way, whatever, by respect, by this, that, and they don't. And then we have resentment. And then we feel, oh my God, did I waste my whole life? My colleagues don't respect me, my children don't respect me. Now, that is because we put the focus of our energies outside of ourselves. Okay. So, over these 2 hours, what I'm going to do is try and help us figure out how we can reclaim that and therefore gain ownership over your own life. So you may be thinking, oh God, what is wrong with me? Like, why don't I, why am I not able to manage proper boundaries? I'm otherwise so brilliant and, academically and intellectually and everything. And what is the problem with me? The truth is that there is nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with any of us. Nobody is broken. Nobody needs fixing. We are all just sometimes a little bit lost because we've not been taught the right way to navigate the system. And also, the issues are not with you as an individual, it is the whole system. Whether you consider the social system of patriarchy where men are prioritized, whether you consider the medical health system, which is again built mainly to men's energies, very masculine energies, not the kind of feminine, nurturing, caring, softer energies that we are then forced to suppress because we can't bring those energies into a system which doesn't respect them, which doesn't create space for them, right? And remember one thing, that women, the gender of women has been healers from the dawn of time. The word midwife is considered to be the oldest profession because human beings living in communities and somebody helping the women to deliver was the main reason for the survival of the tribes and the communities and for human beings to continue. Women have been midwives who helped humankind to survive. And women healers worked in communities and knew all about medicinal plants. So even before this so-called modern system of medicine was set up, in which, all of us have enrolled and, we've done amazing jobs with it. But the truth is that women healers were there for thousands of years. Thousands, like 5,000, 10,000 years ago, it was the women who knew about the plants, herbs which were growing, how to work in communities. Women were the caregivers, not just of the children, of other people in the family as well. So modern medicine was set up just a few hundred years ago in the global north, what we call the Western countries, and it was set up mainly by upper class men and was meant only to cure things. It was not really set up for prevention. It was not set up for caring or support. And it works to very masculine energy systems and timelines and priorities. So for decades, probably, many of us have been forced into these systems to do our best in these systems without recognizing what it is within ourselves that we are amputating or giving up in order to succeed in a system which was never built for us, right? Which again is not to say that men are bad. Patriarchy affects men also in a certain way, but patriarchy privileges men also in a certain way. Okay, so we have to always recognize that, and we have to remember to call it out, because if women don't support other women, the men are rarely going to step up and support, because they would not give away the power and privilege that they already have. We are going to have to reclaim it, and that is kind of the work that we need to do together today. Okay, so this is why women doctors are so angry and frustrated, because we don't know what it is that we are sacrificing. We don't know what it is that we are suppressing inside ourselves. Balance of male female energies, masculine and feminine. And this is part of our Indian or Hindu mythology also. One of our supreme gods is also considered to be Ardhanarishwar. So it is always a balance. Whether you are a man or a woman or any gender that you are, the masculine feminine energies within you have to be balanced. Unfortunately for us as women doctors, we've had to suppress our feminine energies at work and show up only in our masculine energies. Because unless we are powerful and strong and commanding and confident, no one listens to us, right? As soon as you're a little bit soft, somebody takes advantage. If you cry over a patient, they'll be, oh, you are irrational and emotional. You have to be very sort of untouched by the emotions of the people you're working with. So we are not really allowed to bring our human side to the work that we do, and that has consequences on us. Unfortunately, we don't recognize them, right? So now you'll be, okay, what all are the things we face when we work in this environment? You're expected to be perfect at work, and no other profession like ours demands the level of perfection that we need to show up with, right? Because people's lives are at stake. You cannot goof off, you cannot fool around, you can't be anything less than perfect. So that's always there. you're also expected to be perfect in personal life, because people will be like, oh, my daughter is so brilliant and amazing and this, that, and you're expected to then have the same level of brilliance everywhere. You're expected to be the best wife, the best mother, take care of the house to perfection, be the best at everything, everything. And then we are not able to let go of that desire to be perfect also, because we get a lot of validation from the people who call us perfect, and we have to recognize that also. We want to show up as perfect, we want to be seen as best, we want to be praised and respected and appreciated, so we also buy into that kind of a persona that gets created for us. And then of course, when there is sexual harassment and bullying, very often we just bypass it. We are like, okay, hota hai, these things happen, it's part of the game. I can handle it. But unfortunately, if at every individual level, if we say, I will handle it, and we don't speak out about it, then some younger person is left to handle something even more, which they may not be able to, because everyone has different personalities, right? And of course, outside of our sphere of doctors, and particularly women doctors, nobody else can really understand the level of stress at work. No matter how much your spouse loves you, if they are not a doctor, and I know they have no clue of what you're going through. When you step into the ward, or even when you step out of the ward and you come back home, that still carries on with you, and nobody really understands that. And there is daily gender discrimination, not just at work, but even in personal life. Now, I've done a series of these workshops. This is probably my, I think, 8th workshop that I'm doing with women doctors. And women doctors say that, once I come home, I'm expected to behave just like any woman with the stereotypical roles. You may be the most highly super qualified doctor in your particular profession, but at home people will expect you, your children, and then the homework, and then the food. So the same gender typical roles are expected to be fulfilled by you there. Not many people get support from family members. And this is again something people often don't like to share, because it feels a little shameful. It feels like, oh, how can I say that, my parents are not supportive, or that I actually don't get along well with my parents because they forced me to be a doctor and I didn't want to do it. So these are things which are very, very deeply personal and can be quite problematic, because we carry these burdens along without sharing. And then somewhere or the other, they stay inside us, in our body. They create a lot of negativity for us. And we'll talk about that a little later. So those who filled up the form, they said they're interested in the workshop for all these reasons. That I realized that our high qualifications don't really mean anything in terms of being able to manage our emotional landscape. Intellectually, we are in the top 1%. Emotionally, probably not, right? And many people said, I want to have greater control over my own life. I want to be able to speak up confidently. I want to be empowered to fulfill my own dreams. And I want to be able to teach my students, so that I can guide, a whole new set of people to be more empowered. And the last one, I know you can't read the full sentences. I want to be a leader of my own life, right? Now, many of us are leaders in our own way. You may be leading maybe a unit, you may be leading a department, a hospital, a whole specialization. But are you really the leader of your own life is a question I want all of us to ask, and to figure out how do we claim that space, right? If you don't need somebody else to come and put a crown on your head and say, okay, you're the queen or you're the leader. That energy has to shift from the inside, so that whether anybody says it or not, you're in charge of your life. Okay? So, did you know, and some of you may be knowing this, but we have over 60,000 thoughts a day in our conscious mind. Can you imagine that? Like 60,000 is a massive number. Despite that, it is actually your silent subconscious that runs our lives. And we've never been taught to handle its power. Everything we do, all of us here, so many people are so highly specialized, highly qualified. All those intellectual capacities are all in our conscious mind. None of the work that we have done has in any way taught us to look at our subconscious mind, and subconscious mind is 90% of what runs our lives. And today in this workshop, I'm going to give you a few glimpses of some parts which you may not have thought of before, which will give you an idea of what is happening in the subconscious mind. Okay? So what do we do now? Of course, we want to work to change the system, no doubt about it, but we can't wait for it. So what we are going to do is to change who we are. And trust me, because I've done this really painful and difficult work over the last 3 or 4 years. I'll go into the story later. Once you change who you are, it is incredible how people around you change. It works like magic almost, right? And when you change who you are and reclaim your power, the world will change around you. It may not be instant. Some things might be instant. Suddenly tomorrow you'll be like, oh my God, wow, I never expected that person to react this way. You're going to see those kind of breakthroughs. But eventually the world will change around us. Okay. So this was me in March 2021. Okay, this is not my photo, but it represents what I was going through, how I was feeling, what was happening in my life. A lot of challenges were happening. Of course, it was post-COVID, so there was all that going on. A lot of relationship issues, relationship breakdowns, marriage breakdown, many other intimate relationships, parents, siblings, whatever. Whole lot of mess was going on, and I was absolutely going crazy like this. Then I was fortunate to find a mentor, right? So that is how I know this will work, because I found a mentor. Luckily, she was doing online coaching at that time because of COVID. Her name is Catherine Woodward Thomas, and I started doing this program with her, which is called Conscious Uncoupling, because as I said, my marriage was going through a lot of issues and I needed to separate. So then I worked with her. I certified as a coach, and I'm the first one from India to be certified as a coach in conscious uncoupling. Then I did another program with her called Calling in the One, which is for people who want to attract their soulmate. And that's something I can offer at a later stage for some of you who might want to do that workshop. I wrote a book on my experience of divorce. It's available on Amazon. And basically, as luck would have it, it was the first book on divorce in India when it was published in Jan 2023. And then I started a podcast. I call it The Daily Dose with the Divorce Doctor. It's available on YouTube and on Instagram. And I even received a Social Consciousness Award for having written the first book in India on divorce. Now, I'm not telling you all this to just kind of show off and say, oh, wow, I'm so great. But to tell you that in 2021, I had zero idea that any of this was going to happen. I was not planning for any of this. Things just happened along my journey. And as my own inner work evolved, the things around me also shifted. Opportunities came my way. Things happened which I never could have anticipated. And now, especially after the RG car incident and with the setting up of this group of women, and I've got another group with doctors as well, my mission really is to help women doctors take radical ownership of their lives, right? Not just ownership. I want us to be able to take radical ownership of our lives and gain clarity, confidence, and capacity to have the highest fulfillment. So I'm just so delighted that all of you are here with me, and I really, really hope that this can become a movement moving forward, right? So you may be thinking, oh my God, amazing, can I have this transformation too? And yes, you can, and I'm going to share a few secrets with you. The very first secret, okay, listen carefully. Okay? As an adult, remember, you are the source of your own experience.
Please mute everyone.
Okay. Can I request people to mute themselves if they are not talking? Thank you. Okay, so this is very, very important. And if you have any doubt with this or you want me to clarify, I would love to, because this is the most critical, most powerful secret. You are the source of your own experience, and you train people in how to behave with you. Right? Does anyone think this resonates? Do you agree? Give me a thumbs up. If you disagree, give me some kind of a confused emoji and I will explain to you. Yes, Dr. Mekha agrees. You can use the thumbs up. Yes, that also. Yes, you do agree. Fantastic. Okay, a couple of people agree. So what does it mean that you are the source of your own experience? What it means is that the world around you and the people around you will do whatever they are doing. Okay? How you interpret what they are doing and what you choose to do with that will create your experience. Okay? So let's say some random person comes on the street and suddenly stands in front of you and just starts shouting and yelling. Now, one thing you could do is you could also get angry and start shouting and yelling at them. Or you could just take a deep breath and say, okay, clearly this person's got problems. I'm going to walk away. Right? So you decided how your experience is going to be irrespective of what that other person was doing. And the second very important thing is you train people in how to behave with you. Okay? If you tolerate disrespect once, they will continue to do it. And I'm sure many of you are having an aha moment because you know it's true. There are some people with whom we are maybe too scared to say that, this is not the way to talk to me, or it has just become so normal, or as a child you were conditioned to expect that level of, that tone or that attitude or that disrespect from someone. And because you never spoke up, because you never challenged them, they will continue to do it. Because other people are not going to go out of their way to make life better for you. right? Very few people might. Maybe somebody who truly, genuinely loves you may go out of your way. But most people are struggling with their own traumas and their own problems. And they will just treat you in whatever way you allow them to treat you. If you overgive and self-abandon, they will take you for granted. If you're the kind of person who, after a busy day at work, will say, oh, no, my poor spouse or my poor whoever, let me only pick up the vegetables along the way. I will only do the cooking. I will do everything because I'm a superwoman. Then they will eventually not even offer because they know, chalo, she's buying the vegetables. I will go for an evening walk. You have to create a boundary which says, twice a week I will, twice a week you will. I also want to go for an evening walk, or I also need to do something to de-stress. If you don't create those boundaries and you keep overgiving, because what happens for us, particularly as women, particularly in India, we are conditioned to believe that unless you sacrifice yourself and do everything for others, you're not a good person. Right? To be a good person, to be a good woman, particularly, whatever it may be, as a daughter, as a sister, as a wife, as a doctor, as everything, you have to constantly be emptying yourself out into other people. Otherwise, you're not a good person. You're selfish. So we are conditioned that way, and not just told that, we also see that. We've seen our own mothers, aunts, grandmothers, senior women doctors. We've seen how they've had to struggle, sacrifice everything, give up everything in order to be respected and be considered as good people. But this is exactly how you end up training people in how to behave with you. Right? So this secret is really important because this is what will shift everything in the future.
Well,
and if
in
you
this
avoid conflict
moment,
and
I
hide your
want to
real
say
self,
one thing.
Hanji, boliye. Go ahead.
Actually, this is very strong. This should be the first thing what people should feel. But after marriage, if 10 to 15 years people have done all these things, then very next day they cannot demand ki no, now I won't cook daily, and we would do equal work at home. It's not like I was saying, it's not the first day you can do that, but you can decrease this gradually, and gradually you should start taking stand for yourself at home also. But the very first day you can take stand for yourself in the workplace. The babu is not talking to you properly, then that at that place you can say, hey, you cannot talk to me like this.
Right.
In workplace you can do this thing in a very next day, but at home I think it will take some time gradually. But start from workplace at least. If you are not liking the someone behaving with you in your workplace and it's not your senior, so at least you can say them, please don't talk to me like this from the next time.
Right. No, thank you, Dr. Soumyata. I think that's really important what you said. And I just want to clarify that all these suggestions that I will be making through the workshops, they're not meant for you to implement 100% tomorrow. Right? They are a process. You have to find out how to negotiate. And I loved what you said, Soumyata. You said if it is not someone who's your senior. And I think that also becomes a problem because we need to have the confidence to be able to negotiate. Just because somebody is older than you or has a rank which is higher than yours doesn't mean they should be allowed to disrespect you. But that will take a very different negotiation. You may need to do it in a slightly different way, right? But I completely agree with you. Whenever possible, you must say. And another thing is, you can say it kindly. You can say it nicely. You don't have to say it in an attacking way. Like you don't have to pull out a sword and do that. Yeah. You can just maybe take a pause and say, the way you spoke to me just now, that tone wasn't really respectful. Maybe you didn't realize it sounded like that, but I would appreciate if you don't talk to me in that way. I would prefer that we respect each other because we are at the workplace. So you can say it very calmly. Because if you say it very harshly, then the other person's ego gets hurt. And then they may, they may behave nicely with you, but then that may result in other bad things from them. So that ability to negotiate with confidence is also something which is very important to learn. But as doctors, we know the first thing you have to do is get the history and the diagnosis. So once you are able to make the diagnosis that, oh my God, I have been allowing people to behave like this with me, then only you realize that, okay, you've been allowing so far, from tomorrow you're not going to allow, but you're going to figure out how you're going to not allow. That is the journey we have to be on, right? So thank you so much, Dr. Soumyata. I think that was a really, really important intervention you made. I'm seeing some comments. Okay, that's what you shared. Yes, Dr. Sadhana, please go ahead and share.
After I got married, I told my husband on the first day itself, don't ever hit me. If you hit me one, I will give you four back. It might not hurt you, but I will definitely hit you. Okay. So he never did that. Okay. So one has to take the control of the situation for what we want and what we don't want. We have to be clear from day. I think it should be on day one rather than waiting for a time to let people understand. I think we should put our points very strongly from day one. That is what
Absolutely.
I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I just again to just put a caution that not everybody's personality is such that they can do these things right away. And one of the mentors I worked with, I like one thing he always tells us. He says, "Jab jage tab savera."
Yes.
Just because you tolerate it for 3 years or 12 years doesn't mean that from tomorrow you can decide I'm no longer going to tolerate it, right? That's what the whole purpose of our lives is, to evolve and grow. And if we allow people to abuse us, we are also taking away from them the chance to become better people.
True.
Right? Sometimes they are abusing you because maybe, somebody's husband beats them up because they've seen their father beat up their mother and the mother just tolerates it.
Yes.
They also don't know any better, right? So once we are on this journey, the idea is to take along as many people as we can. We don't want to cut people off unless they are so toxic that we no longer want them in our life. Right? But thank you so much for sharing that. I think what you said is really important. What Dr. Soumyata said also, do it as soon as possible. But my suggestion is do it in a way that is safe and that doesn't necessarily hurt the ego of the other person. Not because you care for their ego, but because a hurt ego can hurt you more in the future. They will find different ways to, take it back on you. So just in that sense, to be careful. But thank you so much for your inputs. So now let's do this boundary violation. Yes. Who wants to speak? Yes, Dr. Mekha. Yes. Is there? Okay. Can you just read
There's
it?
one more question in the chat box. How to deal with a senior HOD who's always giving threats that I will not send CR.
Sorry, what is CR?
Megha, your voice is not that clear.
What is CR? Is it like a confidential report? Appraisal. Okay.
Appraisal.
Right. So as I said, these kind of issues with senior people, we'll have to figure out some different ways of doing it, because if you go alone, then that person has too much power over you. So that is something we'll discuss a little bit later. But thank you for sharing. I think these are all important questions to have on board, so that later on when we are talking about solutions, we can bring them all into the picture. So yes, how to maintain healthy boundaries. Absolutely. So let's do this exercise for right now. About the boundary violation scorecard. So if you have a notepad and a paper, that would be really great. If you don't, you can just quickly get one. I'm sure as doctors, everybody has lots of notepads and pens lying around them at all times. So I will read out a whole lot of statements, and you rate each statement based on how often it happens in your life, 0 being never and 4 being always. And in between, if you don't remember whether 1 is rarely, 2 is sometimes, it doesn't matter. Just generally, we want to get a sense of what kind of boundaries. Sometimes, we don't even recognize what boundaries are being violated because we never realize that that's a boundary. Because that's how you're conditioned, or that's how you're raised, or that's how people around you have always behaved. So you feel, oh, usme kya hai boundary, this is how we always are. Okay. So remember, 0 is never, 4 is always, and in between 1 is rarely, 2 is sometimes, 3 is often. So I'll just take you through the various boundaries. So mental and emotional boundaries. People dismiss or invalidate my feelings. Now, this could be a spouse, a partner. You can do it just for personal if you want. You can do it for personal and professional spaces combined. That people always say, you are too oversensitive. You always, choti baat ka bahut bada kar deti ho. Then I feel guilty for saying no to others. You feel you have to say yes, no matter what people ask. I adjust my opinions to avoid conflict. There's some situation where you feel, nahi, ye theek nahi ho raha hai, but you'll be like, jane do na, who's going to pick a fight? I will just say yes. I let people emotionally dump on me without my consent. Friend calls up and starts some long story about some breakup. Sister-in-law calls up and starts complaining about mother-in-law. You just allow them to go on and on talking. You may be exhausted, post on call, but you'll still keep the phone on speaker maybe and just keep letting them talk. I feel responsible for managing others' emotions. Some family member or maybe spouse or maybe, your elderly parents are staying with you and they're like, oh, I'm so bored, I'm so fed up. You feel uncomfortable immediately that, oh my God, how can I make them happy? How can I make them more comfortable? So you're constantly feeling responsible for other adults' emotions. Small child, I can understand, but you feel responsible for other adults' emotions. Physical boundaries. People invade my personal space without permission. Maybe somebody comes and stands too close to you. I feel uncomfortable with certain physical touch, but don't speak up. Maybe again, at an HOD or some senior person during rounds, they'll just touch you on the back. You don't like it, but you don't know what to say. I let people borrow my things even when I don't want to.
Please mute.
I'm pressured into physical interactions, hugs, handshakes. I don't want to. I struggle to say no when I need alone time. Family will say, "Arey, whole week to you're busy. Weekend also you don't spend with us. Let's go somewhere for 3 hours and do a picnic with some 10 family members you've never seen before." And you'll be like, if you say no, they'll start guilt tripping you, saying, "Oh, you never want to spend time with family." Then time boundaries. People expect me to be available at all times, which as doctors, of course, is a big issue with us professionally. But even at home, sometimes they expect, like you finish all your work and you come home and the neighbor has some headache and they will also disturb you instead of, respecting your time. I feel guilty taking breaks or resting. My personal time is interrupted by work or family demands. I overcome it because I don't want to disappoint others. Somebody says, "Oh, okay, just today I was talking to someone, a doctor. They were like, oh, I have this elderly relative who wants to go shopping for some saris for her daughter's wedding, and everybody's all NRIs, nobody's here. How can I say no? She's like an aunt to me, but I'm so exhausted, but I will go, just kind of overcommitting. I feel drained from always putting others first. Just constantly making sure everybody else's things are sorted by me before I give myself time. Work boundaries. I take on extra work without pushback, even when overwhelmed. My boss or co-workers contact me outside of work hours. Now, I know for us as women doctors, especially if you're on call, you're in surgical fields, a lot of these may already be happening. But I just want us to articulate them and recognize them, that just because you're a doctor doesn't mean you should not have any boundaries even at work. Right? And those of us who work in the public sector, we know very often why all this happens is because we are understaffed and we are overworked. And the system doesn't care. Literally, I remember when I was a gynec resident, one day I really felt this. I was like, suppose I die right now from exhaustion and lack of sleep. They will just literally step over my body and say, who else can we bring to do on call? Such less sense of caring there was in the system, right? I feel guilty for using my paid time off. Some vacation that you're allowed also sometimes we don't take. I say yes to tasks that aren't my responsibility. My workload negatively affects my personal life. Then material and financial boundaries. People pressure me to lend money or resources. I feel obligated to buy gifts or pay for things when I don't want to. I let people borrow things without setting terms or expectations. I feel guilty for setting financial limits with friends or family. I don't track or prioritize my own financial needs. Now, here I'm going to ask something very personal. All of us here, we are women doctors, right? We're all professional, we're all working, we're all earning to some extent or the other. How many of us manage our own finances, and how many of our finances are managed by father, brother, husband? Just give me a thumbs up if you manage your own finances. I'm going to actually stop share for this because this is so, so important. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. And how many of us are not managing our own finances, or have not, for the bulk of our life, not been the sole person in charge of our own finances? Maybe you can give me some other sign. Not thumbs up, maybe else is available. Okay, all right. All kinds of different signs are coming up, right? So look at this. Look at the number of people who are on this call, and not everyone said they were in charge of their own finances. So I think that is something so critically important, not just because you may get separated and you need settlement and you don't know your spouse's income, etc. It is an important part of our boundary setting. Because if you don't even know how to manage your own finances, with what confidence are you going to be able to take decisions for the future? Right? Then some part of you will always be dependent on someone else. So financial boundaries are also critically important. Again, a lot of this is conditioning. We are told that, women are careless with money. Women are always shown to be very extravagant. आप तो just shopping ही करते हो, पैसा ही खर्च करते हो, online shopping करते हो, mall में जाते हो. So भरा हुआ है हमारे दिमाग में कि women don't know how to handle money. Which is completely untrue. It has nothing to do with the gender. It has just to do with your learning and your experience. So here is some just small homework. If you have said in your form that you don't manage your own finances, then that is something for you to look into. Okay. Wait, there are still some more boundary violations. I'll just go back to the PPT. Okay. Okay. So now calculate your score. If it is 0 to 10, which means nobody is ever violating your boundaries in any of these things, that's fantastic for you. I think it's awesome. Keep reinforcing them. It would be wonderful if you could mentor other people into managing strong boundaries. But if you are anywhere else, like in 11 to 20, reflect on where you feel your boundaries, are not being maintained. 21 to 30, you are experiencing frequent boundary violations, right? So it's time to set very firm limit. And anything above 30, your boundaries are being seriously compromised. Now, don't judge yourself if you have scored anything between 11 to 30. This is just a diagnosis, right? So it's like you wouldn't judge somebody who has anemia, right? You're just telling them a fact. Your hemoglobin is 7. That's it. Not you're a bad person, so your hemoglobin is 7, or because your hemoglobin is 7, you're useless. This is just a diagnosis. The diagnosis is going to help you figure out where are the places where you need to reclaim your power. Okay. So now I'm going to ask you to do this just short exercise. When you see this image and when you see this question, how many energy drainers are you plugged into? I want you to just quickly write on that note the top 3 which come to your mind. Is it a child who's very demanding? Is it a spouse who doesn't cooperate? Is it a mother-in-law or somebody who's constantly sort of chewing your brains? Just identify 3 energy drainers. Just write them down. You don't have to share them, but if anybody wants to share them, that would be wonderful, because that always helps people see how universal all these issues are. Sometimes we feel ki wo mera hi problem hai, but you realize ki yes, Dr. Nilima, sorry, I'm just seeing the chats. You learned at the age of 56. That's so fantastic, because I also came very late into being able to manage my finances independently, and it was so empowering when I did. And I wish I had learned earlier, but for various reasons, by default, it just so happened that I didn't. Very unfortunate, but it happens to many of us. Okay, has everyone written their 3 energy drainers? I'm going to invite a few of you if you would like to share, either in the chat or you can unmute and share. Maybe we'll have from 2 or 3 people. I can see there are almost 30 people here. So at least 2 or 3 people, if you could share what showed up for you instantly. What was top of your mind when you started writing? Is someone writing in the chat? Workplace. Workplace is the energy drainer you're plugged into. Okay. Anyone else? Spouse, job, fitness, family. Okay. Anyone else? So as we can see, these are spaces which are, okay, daughter, maids, hospital responsibilities. Thank you, Dr. Nilima, very powerful. So as you can see from all these shares, these are our intimate spaces. Parenting, children, maids, workplace, this is it. Bulk of our life is going around here. So if all these domains of your life are draining your energy, it is so important to unplug some of these in a way that doesn't abandon the other person, but in a way that protects your energies, right? So that's something that we're going to start working on now. Okay, so let's do a small exercise. I'm going to invite you to write down 3 unspoken agreements you have with anyone. These are unspoken, right? It is not like, even with your spouse, you may have had a wedding vows, which is your spoken agreement, but there may still be an unspoken agreement like anyone. It may be anybody. As I said, one of my clients who I coach said she realized that the unspoken agreement was that she will never do better than her sister, or her mother gets upset. Her mother used to say, "Why is happy?" Without realizing that her ability to be happy is something internal to her. There's only so much I can do. I will facilitate. I can support. I can be there as much as possible, but I can't guarantee that will result in her happiness. So we end up having these unspoken agreements with people. Okay, you're answering while doing your OPD. Dr. Nilima, we are talking about boundaries. Yes, but I'm so grateful that you're attending even while you're doing your OPD. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Okay, so anyone would like to share what came up for you as the unspoken agreement quickly to make parents happy? Okay, anyone else wants to share? Anyone else wants to share? What was your unspoken agreement? Dr. Jayabharti is also in OPD in Scrubs. This is what you want to do, so it's within your boundaries. Powerful. I love that. You're owning this choice. Anyone else wants to share what came up for you? You had some aha moment. You were like, oh my God, yes, this is how, sometimes the unspoken agreement is that I will always behave with my mother as if I am still her small child. Not to limit spending on parents, okay? I will always do my best as my parents have taken extra efforts for their children, okay? Right? So a lot of these unspoken agreements come up, and the problem is these unspoken agreements, a lot of them are out of a sense of duty, responsibility, love, which is all amazing. But once they start draining you, you need to decide what choice you're going to make over there, right? So if any of these unspoken agreements are something which you feel is an energy drainer, Dr. Diksha says to manage household work, baby, earn money for family, and not caring for myself at all. Look at that. That is, just reading it, I'm sure, is tiring for all of us, right? It sounds exhausting. Not to force any religious practices on spouse, no comparison with anybody. These are all your unspoken agreements, right? So these are beautiful, very powerful. Thank you so much for those of you who are sharing. If there are any of these unspoken agreements that you no longer want to continue, right? What do you do when you have a contract and you don't want to continue the contract? You give a notice period and you say, okay, from 30th September onwards, I am no longer in this job, or I'm not continuing. So similarly, I want you to break these agreements. Just tear up that paper and say, I am free. I'm free of this agreement. How you will implement is something different. It doesn't mean that tomorrow you'll go and tell your mother, I don't care about you, or I'm not going to spend any money on you. The idea of writing it by hand and tearing up the paper is to let your subconscious know that you have now become conscious of this agreement that was sitting there in the subconscious without any diagnosis. Now you know it. You are choosing to break that contract and say, I'm free from it. How you will implement it is the next step. As the first step, I want you to just tear up that paper, whatever contract. If there is some agreement which you like, that is fine. But if there's any agreement you want to get rid of, then please tear up that paper and say, I'm free. Okay? And after the workshop is over, you can maybe burn that pieces of paper, or you can flush it away or something, so that you completely get rid of those words and that energy from your life. Okay? Anybody has done that and wants to share how that felt to tear it up? Did you actually feel that energy being freed up? Did you feel now you've given yourself permission to not be stuck in that unspoken agreement?
Namaste, ma'am. Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, a lot of years ago, I don't know whether it was just a outburst of anger or my mom just wanted to victimize me for some reason. So I was pretty young, maybe I was 7, and she yelled at me, you are responsible for how I lost.
And their journey of healing may not necessarily match your journey of healing, and that's okay. Because you only owe yourself the power and the healing, right? So now let's go to the second secret, which is learn to listen to and trust your inner voice and pay attention to your body and your gut reactions. Now, here again, if you remember right from the beginning what I was saying, we have been told to prioritize only intellectual capacity. Logic, reasoning, intellect, a lot of these are masculine energies, right? Listening to your inner voice, dil ki suno, listen to your heart. Oh, I've got a gut feeling about this. A lot of these are feminine energies. And we've been told to suppress those. You have to learn to pay attention to your body. Some months ago, I had a client. She was herself a doctor, a senior anesthetist, doing anesthesia in very highly specialized kind of a field. And came to me because she had been in a toxic relationship and wanted to uncouple. As we were doing the work, on one of the occasions, she said, oh my God, I suddenly realized that this rash that I kept getting, that nobody could understand. A lot of dermatologists tried, nothing was working. She said that rash was a physical reaction to my suppressed emotions. Right? She was literally having a psychosomatic rash. And soon after our work together, after about a month or so, she said the rash has disappeared. My migraines have gone away. I stopped clenching my teeth when I sleep, because all these were the subconscious working through the body to give her signals, because her conscious brain wasn't recognizing them, right? So your body will start giving you signals. Pay attention to your body. Pay attention to your body, because we've never been taught to pay attention to our body. At least my personal experience was that the brain is everything. The body is just like a car taking this very important driver along, But the body has its own memories. And a lot of these childhood traumas get stored in the body. So you want to pay attention to your body. When you feel open, energized, comfortable, when your boundaries are being honored. If you're feeling tense, anxious, obligated, just that, you get this clenching in the stomach, and you don't know why. It could be that somebody's aura or energy is disturbing you, or there is some boundary violation happening which your conscious brain is not allowing you to recognize, because maybe it's a senior person, maybe it's my father, how can I say that? Maybe I'm only mistaken. So you start gaslighting yourself, right? So this is a very, very important secret. Learn to listen to and trust your own inner voice and your own body. Okay? So now let's do something fun. Thoda heavy ho gaya. So showtime. If your life was a movie, what would be the title of the movie? Anyone wants to share? You can share in the chat, you can unmute and share. Which movie would it be? You can say Bollywood, you can say Hollywood. Let go. Let go. डॉक्टर सौम्यता, ये कौन सा पिक्चर है? कौन से थिएटर में चल रहा है? कोई सुपरहिट पिक्चर का नाम बताओ. You have such a super hit life. Dear Zindagi. Okay. Anything else?
Chak De India.
अग्निपथ. डॉक्टर नीलिमा. अग्निपथ. Okay.
मेरा नाम
डॉक्टर इंडिया.
जोकर.
Like Mr.
मेरा
India.
नाम
मेरा
जोकर.
नाम जोकर. मेरा नाम जोकर. Anybody else? जो जीता वही सिकंदर. Too good. ये जिंदगी ना मिले दोबारा. चक दे इंडिया. Fantastic. I love it. All these
I forgot
box
the
office
name
hits.
of the movie. That
जी?
Geet ka movie is there, na? That,
जब we met.
हाँ, जब we met, yeah. Right.
Jab we met. Fantastic. Good, good. So if your life was a movie, which one would it be? So usually I get this as one of the top names when I do my other sessions. So I put it here, poster. Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. It's a story of all our lives, I think. Some of the younger people I work with, I hate love stories. Of course, Home Alone. Godzilla, if you're going through a particularly, crazy life. And if you had asked me some years ago, I would have said, when I showed that photo of mine from 2021, I would have said the burning train. I don't know how many of you who are closer to my age and have seen the burning train. Usme at one point, this whole train is on fire. It is going without any control. उसका कोई engine नहीं है. Driver has been killed. ऊपर से कोई helicopter से rescue कर रहा है. कुछ बच्चे रो रहे हैं. Like the whole thing is absolute chaos, right? And everybody's struggling to bring it back to the station, without causing any more accidents. So it kind of would have felt like it at that time. But it's beautiful. So many of you gave such powerful names. Now the question I want to ask you after this is, are you only watching the movie of your life, or are you actually the lead character? That is important. Are you the lead character, or has somebody else written the script? Some third person is directing. Some 5 different people are dancing there behind you. आप just देखे जा रहे हो कि अरे मेरे life का movie चल रहा है. If you're not the lead character, then this is something you're going to have to take back. Yes, Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum is summary of everyone's life. Yes, Dr. Soumyata, of course you're the lead character. Or anybody feels like they're the lead character, or do you feel कि you're the co-star? Your husband is the lead character, your child is the lead character. आप ऐसे ही side में मंडरा रहे हो. Sometimes, you exit. Sometimes you come back. When somebody tells you, you stand there and you dance. You're not really the lead character of your movie. If you are, that's fantastic. If you are not, then that is where we need to do some little bit of work as well. Okay? This is how we all want to be, right? Okay. So now again, a little small exercise. Write down your 3 big dreams. Whatever they are. They could be crazy dreams also. Doesn't matter. You can share only if you want to. So it doesn't matter what you write on that paper. But I want you to write it on your paper so you at least acknowledge to yourself your 3 big dreams. And don't think that, I'm now 50 or I'm 60 or, I don't, what dreams will I have? Bachche bade ho gaye, that was only my dream. That is fine. But if there are still any 3 big dreams, maybe unfulfilled dreams, just write them down. Just for your own sake, just record them. And if anybody would like to share in the chat, Dr. Nilima getting better with every resurrection. Okay. Safe public spaces I can step onto any time of day and night. Just one, to live my life on my own terms. Fantastic. Anybody else wants to share their big dreams? Bungee jumping. Okay. WOMAIN to reach the highest. Fantastic. Be financially, be at peace with myself, see my kids settled, be financially fully independent. No cheating by auto drivers in any place in India. Okay. Yes. Anybody else wants to share? Fears are holding you back from fulfilling them. I know some of you shared dreams that were internal to your life, some shared outside. But if there is any dream which is still unfulfilled, the last time I did the workshop, there was someone in my workshop, she's a pediatrician, and she said her dream was to start an NGO which helps children with learning disabilities. So I was like, okay, what's stopping you from doing it? What is holding you back? If your dream is you want to write a book, or your dream is that you want to, run your own hospital, or you want to be a mentor, you want to, retrain and become something else. Is there any fear that is holding you back from fulfilling them? Do you have any limiting beliefs? I'm too old. I'm too busy. I don't have enough support. It's not financially sensible. If you have any of those dreams, only one tamanna, big library in my home, all original books, no one to disturb. That is so fabulous. That sounds very much like my dream also. Lots of money to travel the world, overcome health issues, addiction-free youth, world safari. See, again, when you say your limiting factor is finance, you need to figure out what part of it can you change, because remember one thing, if we say this life is a gift, it's like this, whatever you believe in, whether you believe in God or universe or spirit or mother goddess or whatever it is, for some reason you've been given this gift, right? How would you feel if you gave someone a gift? You you found some beautiful gift for them and you gave it. And when you check in with them after a year or 2 years, they'll be like, oh yeah, that is still wrapped and kept very nicely because I was too scared to open it. I didn't want it to get spoiled. You'll be like, what now? You're holding yourself back because of some reasons. You need to figure out, because if you fulfill your dream, your life can completely change from what it is right now. And this is another thing I learned from my mentor. My mentor would say, okay, you have a dream. And you feel, my husband doesn't believe in that dream. My professor doesn't believe in that dream. My friend doesn't believe in that dream. But he would say, why should they believe in your dream? Your dream has come to you because it is your dream. You have to believe in your dream. If you are also adha adhura, pata nahi, finance nahi hai, time nahi hai, ye nahi hai, wo nahi hai, why will anybody else believe your dream? So whatever your dreams are, if it is something that is still unfulfilled, figure out what is holding you back. How will it change your life if it comes true? And this is the most important question. What is the cost your soul is paying to stay where you are? To not have that big library, to not do whatever it is that you dream of, to travel all over India in a car, what is it that is singing to your soul and you are denying it? That is something only you can decide, and only you can take charge of that dream, right? So the reason why I wanted you to write this down is for you to recognize that yes, even though you are, or you want to be, or you are the best doctor, you are the best at everything else, there are still some small dreams, big dreams that are there inside you, right? And you owe yourself the responsibility of fulfilling them. Because remember what was secret number 1? You are the source of your own experience. If you don't believe in your dream and you don't make it come true, who else is going to, right? So now what I'm going to invite everyone to do is, in the chat, I want everyone to write whatever you want to write, either tathastu or amen or it will be done, so that we are all sending this positive energy to everyone on this group right now. Your family, fabulous. Tathastu, tathastu, bless everyone. Beautiful. I love the energy of this group. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we go to secret number 3. Take ownership of your choices. Okay, so that is what changes you from victim to victor. If you say, I can't really do that because, they said this and she said that and I believed that, then you will stay in victim mode. You want to go from victim to victor, because who wins the war, who wins at life is somebody who is a victor, right? So how do you do that? You have to figure out. When you use a smartphone, you want to go somewhere, what do? You set your GPS, right? But of your life GPS, who has set this destination and path? For most of us, it is something which has been done by other people. No? As soon as you're born, almost, they will say, oh, this one's a girl. She belongs to this religion. She belongs to this country. She belongs to this family. She will do this, this, this. She's the second girl, so she will do this. She's my eldest daughter, so she will do that. All GPS is set by somebody else only. And by default, we are just following that GPS for most of our life. Some of us who are lucky, we take charge of it and we decide to reset the GPS, right? So just be conscious. Why are you doing what you're doing? Today, why are you where you are? Is it because somebody else said you had to do it? Do you genuinely want to be there, or do you want to shift your GPS pin a little bit? People told you to go to point A. You're like, okay, I tried going to point A. अभी 10 साल कर लिया या 4 साल कर लिया, whatever. शादी कर ली, बच्चे कर लिए. I'm now very, high in my profession, this, that. But now I think it's time to go back to point B. I don't want to be at point A. That was your dream, somebody else's dream. My dream is to go to point B. So take ownership of your life and reset the destination. And however the path changes, then be ready to move along that new path. Sometimes what happens is, we want to do a big dream. We want to achieve something, but we are not willing to sacrifice anything to go towards it. It's not possible, no? You're going to have to give up some things. So you have to make a choice. Do you want to give up your dream, or do you want to give up those small things which are keeping you from reaching your dream? And these are all things only you can decide. Nobody else can really take that away from you or give it to you also, right? There's no Santa Claus who's going to come there and say, here's your big bungalow, or here's your library, or here's the car in which you're going to travel around the country. You're going to have to figure it out for yourself. So here now, notebook and pen time for the next activity. Now that we've gone through this whole journey together, you hopefully had a lot of insights and breakthroughs and aha moments. What I want you to do is reflect on one behavior pattern that gives away your power, right? Because when you're a victim, you have no power. You have given away your power. My father said, I have to do this. So I am a victim because I've given away the power to him to decide what I should do. Or my husband doesn't like this. You've given away your power. Okay. So what is the giving away of power? Sometimes we are people pleasers. We want to make sure child is happy, spouse is happy, in-laws are happy, parents are happy, everybody is happy. Are you happy? Nobody is asking. Have you asked yourself? You haven't asked yourself either. Right? Are you conflict avoidant? Some people tell me, oh no, I'm so easy to get along with, I never argue with anybody. Okay, but do you always internally agree with what everybody is doing? Not really, but I prefer not to have conflict. Okay, but then others will keep not asking your opinion because you agree with everybody. You, after some time, will start getting suffocated and feeling resentful because you've not told people what you want. You're always over-giving, always over-sacrificing. So just write down if you are able to identify any behavior pattern for yourself. Reacting in anger instead of maintaining your calm. So that means you still have some triggers which are unresolved, right? Too honest and not being very diplomatic in conversations, learning to control, overgiver, okay? So if you want to share in the chat, you can, but otherwise just write it down at least for yourself. It helps to have a name, right? For me, something that came up when I was doing my mentoring very early was a pattern of self-abandon, which was a combination of people pleaser and overgiver. So I never put myself, not even first, forget. I never put myself second, third, fourth also. I was somewhere fifth or sixth in the line. Aap Qatar mein hai. Constantly I was aap Qatar mein hai only. Everybody else came first. Because pehle do jan ka kar liya, some new people would come in first and second, Yes, Dr. Divya, please speak up. You can unmute.
Sorry, I thought it was a thumbs up. Sorry.
Okay, all right. But if there's anything you want to share, you're welcome to.
It was like me too. I've always kept myself number 10. So
absolutely. And it's time to change that, right? We have to put ourselves first, because looking after yourself first is not selfish. It is just reprioritizing. Because if you are not full of energy, you are not full of happiness, joy, love for yourself, how will you give it to other people? Then what happens is it becomes a transaction. Then it becomes a soda. It is like, oh, I am giving love to my children. They must give love back to me. I am giving love to my husband. He must give love back to me. Why isn't he giving love back to me in the way that I am giving him? I am giving him worth 20 kgs of love. He's giving me only 5 kgs. Then we start doing all these transactions. Then we start feeling resentful. Then we start arguing and getting angry. But if you are full of love for yourself, you're literally like glowing with love for yourself, right? You just give out of overflow. Then you are not feeling empty because you're loving someone else. You're just like, wow, I love myself. I love my life. So I'm going to offer this love to everyone who's in my life. Whether they give it back to me or not doesn't matter. I'm already 100% full with my own love. Right? So we have to shift those patterns. Expecting a particular behavior from spouse, not getting it puts me off. Exactly. So expectation is there because you feel I am giving this. Why he is not giving it back to me? But this cannot be a transaction. If it becomes a transaction, and if you have no expectations from anyone else, that also can sometimes be a problem. Yes, it is good to have no expectations, but it should be done in a way that maintains your boundaries. You can't say, oh, okay, I don't have any expectations from them, but that doesn't mean they can take you for granted, behave badly, disrespect, only take and never give. So there has to be a good balance between those two, right? Okay. Next here. So how will it change your life if you stop doing this? If you stop, if magically, suppose I run a magic wand right now, and from today, after 8:30 or after 9 o'clock today, you will no longer be a people pleaser. You will no longer abandon yourself. You will no longer get angry with your children. You will no longer allow other people's mood to affect you. How will it change your life if you stop doing that? How do you think it will change your life? Dr. Sudha, most powerful question. How can we be full of love for ourselves? I think that may need another session, but that is a very, very important question. Because if you don't love yourself, if you don't forgive yourself, if you don't have compassion for yourself, it's very difficult for you to shift the energy that allows other people to love you. So let's see if you are able to answer that today. But you could answer this question. How will it change your life if you are able to love yourself? How will it change your life if you stop abandoning yourself? What do you think? How will it change? Anyone? Full most of the time. Because I now knew, I was like, oh my God, I have these boundaries. And I am in charge of, making sure that they are protected. And once my boundaries are protected, I'm like full to 100% battery charge the whole time. And then I was not so resentful of other people also. I was like, okay, okay, you're not able to do this so and so, never mind. But remember that next time then I will be available only for so and so. Cool, everybody's fine. You feel more balanced, absolutely. You feel more balanced, you feel more energized. You know something, you feel more powerful. And when you feel powerful from the inside, other people will recognize that. People will think twice before disrespecting you. People will look up to you. When you speak, they will listen to you. It almost feels like magic, but it genuinely works. If your inner energy changes, people feel that vibe on the outside and things will start shifting for you. Yes, you will be less disappointed, you'll be more relaxed and happy, and you'll be more filled with joy, right? We are here to do what in our lives? We are not here कि किसी का सुन के मर के काम कर के एक दिन मर जाते. That is it. और कुछ नहीं है क्या लाइफ में? We want to live with joy and happiness. And you have to change your life if you want to live that way by shifting these behavior patterns. And this is costing you in happiness, right? There's somebody who said that, I get resentful with my husband if he doesn't do that. So what are you doing? You are saying, my happiness depends on you doing so and so to me. So if you can't change, I can never be happy because मेरा happiness पूरा बांध के आपको दे रखा है. Only if you give it back to me, then only I can be happy. Right? So we have to shift all that. We have to take charge of our own life. I also think I will do the same, but unable to get the balance and get too rigid. So this is really beautiful what you're saying, Dr. Sudha, is that, again, we cannot expect perfection when we are trying to make changes. It's like when all of us have seen small children who are learning to walk, right? What happens? They stand up, they fall down. They fall down forwards, they fall down backwards. They keep falling on their butt, they will cry. They will still get up and walk. They don't say, oh, I fell down 20 times. I think I'll just stop trying how to walk. मैं ऐसे ही बैठे ही रहूंगा. People will just carry me around my whole life. We don't do that, right? Because that's not in us as human beings. We will try and try again. So if you're not able to get the balance, doesn't matter. Tomorrow you'll get the balance. Not tomorrow, next week you'll get the balance. Every day, thoda we have to change. Right? Dr. Sadhana says people talk behind me, but ignoring that is so soothing. It's so powerful, right? Their words don't harm you, they don't affect you only. After some time, they'll stop talking because if you don't give them the energy of being hurt or being bothered, they will also give up. They'll start talking about somebody else. So you have to take back the ownership by changing this behavior pattern that is giving away your power. Okay? So if you've been writing all this on a piece of paper and it is something you want to give up, again, tear up that paper and throw it away. So you're giving the message to your subconscious that, okay, I have been self-abandoning. Okay, I have now brought that information to my conscious brain. So now I will consciously change that pattern. I will no longer self-abandon. I'll figure out a way how to do it. So I'm tearing up this paper and throwing it away. Thank you for holding this message for me. And I am now going to change that. Right? What to do to be full of love for oneself? Dr. Sudha, I know you asked that earlier also. Keeping boundaries is a beautiful way to start. Beautiful way to start, because what it says when you create a boundary, you say that this is me. Remember that image I showed in the beginning? You're drawing this line with chalk or pencil around you. You're saying, this is me. Everything inside this is what I choose. Everything inside this is what gives me positive energy, gives me more love, and therefore I will not allow things inside this boundary which will take that away from me. Which is the first step of saying, why am I doing it? What is the reason why I'm creating this boundary? Because I love myself. I love myself and I choose what comes into my energy zone. So I am creating this boundary. I will no longer give away my precious time in this one life that I have. You know, people keep saying renewable energy, solar energy, wind energy. Most non-renewable energy is your time energy. Whatever half an hour you wasted listening to your sister-in-law, you know, gossiping about somebody, that time is never going to come back. Time is gone. So once you start protecting your time energy, your emotional energy, that is the first step to showing the universe, I love myself enough that I'm not going to allow anybody to drain my energies. I'm not going to allow anyone into my space who disrespects me or takes me for granted. So exactly, narcissistic people will also step back once you create boundaries. So creating boundaries may not be everything, but it is the very important first step. Okay, now bonus secret. This is a real secret. I showed you all my certificates earlier and I told you I've done all these courses and everything. So I am now going to give you this bonus secret, how to change the other person so you can have better relationships. How many of you want to know it? Just give me a thumbs up. No, nobody wants to know it? Chalo, theek hai, nahi batati hu main. Okay, Dr. Samyata wants to know. Anybody else? 24 people, so mahan vyaktis, nobody wants to know how to change the other person. Koi nahi. Nobody wants to know. Okay, Dr. Jay Bharti, Dr. Alka. Okay, sadly, this is a trick question. You can't. You cannot change the other person. Once you recognize that, it is the most amazing freedom. Forget Independence Day, Republic Day. Today, if you recognize you cannot change the other person, you cannot make your spouse be more considerate, you cannot make your father be more thoughtful, you cannot make your mother be kinder, you cannot make your child, be more appreciative of whatever you do for them. You cannot. The only person you can change is yourself, and then you can create boundaries by saying that if you are not able to change and do these things, then these are the boundaries between you and me. I am not going to overperform because you are not giving me what I want. I am not going to make myself unhappy because you are not giving me what I want. Right? Yes, Dr. Divya is asking, can you change others? No, you can't. You can only change yourself. Actually, their thoughts don't affect me. Yes, Dr. Diksha, ignorance is key. It is such a powerful thing to know. You cannot change the other person, no matter how much they love you. Tell me, all of us, we are doctors. We know there are so many people who have addictions, right? Alcohol addiction, drug addiction. They also love people. But even for the love of other people or even for the love of themselves, they can't change themselves sometimes, you know? Or somebody is just so thoughtless, just keep saying things which hurtful to you. They can't change themselves. What can you do? You change yourself. You say, okay, I will not allow myself to be hurt by this person. And if they don't care enough for me to change, then slowly, I'm going to not have this person in my inner circle of my life. Whatever it is, whether it's your best friend, you'll be like, oh my God, that person's been my best friend since school, but she's so disrespectful. She always seems jealous of what my success is, but it's okay. She's my best friend. No. You can't change them, but you can change yourself. And you can say, no, I will no longer allow this behavior in my inner space because it drains my energy. It makes me feel miserable. So now, Dr. Shalini, you can change your children in the sense, yes, as they are growing up, you can give them certain guidance about what is good behavior and what isn't. But beyond the point, once they become adults or, you know, when they go to school, sometimes they are spending more time with other people than they are with you. So you can guide them. You can try to change them, but you can't insist that they change, because then what happens is then we start becoming the kind of parents that children will not want to engage with. I loved what Dr. Sharmila is saying. Sharmishta is saying, we also don't change. So many things we also don't change. Abhi raat ko, before sleeping, who all scroll reels? Every day I tell myself, I set an alarm for 10 o'clock. I'm like, nahi karna hai. Still by 11 o'clock, I'm still watching reels. Nonsense, non-stop reels. right? We also don't change. We don't change for others. Sometimes we don't change for ourselves. Who is affected if I'm watching reels? I'm only feeling tired in the morning. For myself also, I'm not able to sometimes do, right? Dr. Sudha says, I felt free from the time I realized this, but keep going back to default mode. Correct. I got a friend out of alcohol dependence. Yes, beautiful. It helped me to know that I'm capable of so much sympathy. Dr. Aditi says, sometimes you're helpful, caring, honest with others, but don't receive same from them, and such behavior hurts. What to do of that? So, Dr. Aditi, what I will say is, see, when something happens to you, you have to decide how you're going to let it affect you. If others don't do the same to you, what you have to say is, they are not capable of giving me what I need. I have to stop expecting from them, and I will be helpful and caring to people who can give it back to me. I will find different people to offer my care and help to. I will not help those who just take it from me, because then what you're doing, you are letting them think that even if they don't give it back to you, you will still keep being helpful and caring. So you are hurting yourself. They may have hurt you once, but if you keep doing it, then you are the one who's hurting yourself, right? So you have to recognize that pattern and change it. Again, as I said at the beginning, none of this work is easy. It's not like just snap your fingers and you're going to change out of it. The whole idea is to first identify what are all the points in your patterns where you're giving away power and how you can take that power back, right? So what is it that you really want? And I think we got the answers from those who filled out the forms. But I think these are universal things. Like, you want to wake up feeling fresh and enthusiastic. You want to be like, wow, this is my life. What a gift. I get to live this life, in this house with this person. Fabulous. Do you want to feel moments of sheer joy during the day? Whatever it may be. It may be a beautifully executed surgery. It may be a time where your child comes spontaneously and hugs you and says, I love you, mommy. Or, your spouse smiles at you and says, I'm so happy that, we are together. Whatever it may be. Do you want to be excited about going to work? Do you want to feel unshakable confidence in negotiations? That, okay, maybe you're not excited about going to work, but you know that you're not going to allow anybody to disrespect you, because now you have absolute confidence. You know, you believe in yourself, you know you are worthy of being loved and respected, and you are going to negotiate confidently. Not brutally, not rudely, respectfully, confidently. Do you want to feel deeply satisfied with your chosen career? Now, all of us became doctors for a certain reason, right? But many of us not necessarily deeply satisfied with the chosen career. How can you make yourself feel deeply satisfied? Let's say, suppose you did a specialization or a subspecialization because you felt you had to, not because you really wanted to. Even then, can you find something within that which will give you satisfaction? Maybe you then start mentoring people. Maybe you want to write a book about it. Maybe you want to find some way of adding satisfaction to your chosen career, or you want to decide, okay, I'm not satisfied, I want to change it. Do you want to become a true healer whose very presence makes people feel better? Because this really, to me at least, is the sign of a true healer. Is you sit in their presence and you feel better. You feel healed. We know in our Indian tradition, there's a tradition of satsang. You know what does satsang mean? Satsang means to be in the company of truth. And many times people just go for darshan. Why do you go for darshan? They're not talking to you, they're not answering your questions, they're not revealing some big secret to you. Sometimes you just feel good in the presence of somebody. It could be in your own family, maybe your grandfather, grandmother. You just feel happy in their presence, right? Why? Because they're radiating a positive, loving energy towards you. Do you want to become that kind of a doctor where patients just sitting in your presence, already 50% they are feeling better, right? How do we do that? We can only do that. Okay, it feels impossible. You're like, oh my God, this feels like a Hogwarts magic something. How is it going to work? It's not impossible. You can make it happen. And you know by now, we've gone through this journey of 2 hours together. You know that there's always tools and tricks to make it happen. There are many, many more things that I would like to share with you. And of course, can't do it all in 2-hour session. But if all of you would like, then I would definitely be more than happy to conduct these sessions in the future. So it would be really nice if in the chat, if you could write which of these would you like to know more about. And Dr. Mekha, if I could request you to just note that, so that we can say that, okay, 5 people wanted this, 3 people wanted that, and we can always offer it sometime in the future. One is how to make healthy boundaries your superpower. Today, what did we learn? We learned first diagnosis, that these are all the boundaries that are being violated. These are all the patterns in which I'm stuck. These are all the unspoken agreements that are holding me back. And this is how I have been giving away my power, right? So we are still at stage 1, mostly diagnosis, history and diagnosis. Make healthy boundaries your superpower. Learn to stop sabotaging yourself. So this answers a little bit to Dr. Sudha's question. How do you start to love yourself? First, you stop hating yourself. First, you stop judging yourself. Okay. First, you stop, not forgiving yourself for certain old things that were done. So that is very important. Get rid of emotional baggage. How much we are carrying with us. Mother's expectations, father's dreams, siblings something, children something, all that we're carrying on top of everything. How do you manage toxic relationships? Everybody you cannot divorce. You can't divorce your mother, as Dr. Jay Bharti just explained to us, but she has managed to uncouple, even though she has not divorced her mother. Some relationships you can say, okay, I'm walking away. This person who claims to be my best friend, not my best friend. This sister-in-law or colleague or somebody who's always bad-mouthing me, I'm going to leave that relationship, right? Sometimes you can't leave it. How do you manage it? How do you break the pattern before the pattern breaks you? Like the self-abandon. Somebody shared, I think I can't remember, Darshana. I had the pattern of self-abandon. And it almost broke me before I was able to learn how to break the pattern. And now I know. Now I'm so conscious of so many of the choices I make. I know that I'm not going to get into those old patterns again, right? Sometimes I find myself slipping into it. Child says something, I immediately want to overperform and overgive and make everything good for them. Before I realize that, okay, now my children are adults themselves. I need to let them figure out how to do this. I will be there to support. I will be there to facilitate. I will be there to give whatever I can. But I will not abandon myself to make sure I do whatever is needed to make them happy. Right? So this is the program, the framework that I call relation shift, where you shift the energy of your relationship first to yourself, then to others, and therefore as a result of that you shift your relationship with life. Okay, so here is something I want to offer you, and we are almost at the close of our 2 hours, is to identify what is it that you really want. Sorry, repeating the slide here. So you want to take ownership of your life, you have to start taking action. So I'm going to invite you just to, if you have a notebook, just write this down. I want you to take a decision today, take the action to release these things from your life and call in these things in your life. So I'll give you maybe, if you want, 3 minutes, 2-3 minutes to write this down. Release one object from your life. Something which you held on to forever, कि अरे किसी ने gift दिया था, इतना ugly है लेकिन वो रखना पड़ता है. You don't want it in your life, it's not giving you positive energy, release it. Give it away to somebody tomorrow. Okay? One habit. Either, I have this habit of eating all the leftover because my children haven't eaten it and you shouldn't waste the food. Release that. Respect your body, give that food to somebody else, or make sure that you cook enough, or tell the children that you could serve yourself only as much as you want, right? Release some one excuse you've been making. Oh, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, my husband doesn't support me, my partner doesn't believe in me. Release it. Release one pattern. And release one relationship. Now, when I say release a relationship, doesn't mean you WhatsApp them and tell them, sorry, from 9:15 p.m. today, you are not my best friend, okay? You don't have to do that. You have to release the relationship on yourself inside. I am no longer dependent on this person to give me happiness. And once you've released all these things, then decide what you want to call in. What do you want to call in? Do you want to buy yourself that one Bluetooth speaker? You've been feeling guilty to spend money on yourself. Do you want to call in a new habit? Do you want to start yoga? You want to call in a new excuse. I'm going to tell people that, oh, I can't because, today is my fast. So I'm not going to come out and eat that stuff with you, which is unhealthy. So figure out for yourself. Just take 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever. And once you're done writing, just give me a thumbs up. So till then, I'll just give you some silence to work on this. Because this is how we take it. Because of your past experience is also because you don't trust yourself to now choose the right person. Yeah. So if you want to release that, what you need to call in is learn to trust yourself. Isn't it? Because see, we know everybody is not bad, but we know there are always people who take advantage. What happens when you say all men are bad is actually you're saying I don't trust myself to figure out which man is good.
Yeah, correct.
Isn't it? So that is what you'll need to call in is trust for yourself. So you'll need to build a better relationship with yourself.
Right.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, looks like a lot of people have, yes.
The problem with strong people is that everybody thinks you don't have any problem.
Yes, I have faced that my whole life. So I completely agree with you. But again, we give out signals. We don't ask for help. We are not willing to receive. We don't like to be vulnerable. We don't like to cry in front of people. We don't like to tell we are tired. So what are we doing? We are making them believe that we are strong, and then we are like, "अरे कोई पूछता ही नहीं है." अरे but 99 times you are saying कि मुझे कुछ हुआ नहीं, I am strong, I can carry on, I can carry on. Then when they don't ask, we feel upset. So we train them in behaving that way. So we have to change that pattern. Again, in a safe way, with people we feel safe with. Don't say this to your toxic colleague who's going to go around spreading rumors that you can't do your work properly. Say it to your best friend and say, I'm fed up, yaar. Everybody thinks I'm so strong all the time, but I'm not. And somebody will understand and say, yeah, that is true, you should take time for yourself. So find a safe person to share that with. Beautiful. Thank you, Dr. Sadhana.
Thank you.
Dr. Soumyata, did you want to share? I thought I saw you unmute. And I know we have only 5-6 minutes left, so I do want to wind up. Anybody else would like to share, either in the chat or by unmuting? Okay. So now I'm going to ask you, and this is in closing, 2-3 slides are left. Who do you think you are? It's not one of those that Tashan mein kya samajhte ho apne aap ko? No, who do you think you are? You are not your past. Whatever you may have done, said, believed in the past, from today, from this minute, from 9 p.m. today, you can be something different. You are not other people's opinions. So mother may have said, oh, she is so this, or as Dr. Sadhana said, everybody else says, oh, she is so strong. You are not their opinions. You think you are strong? Fantastic. But you are also allowed to take rest. You are the creator of your life. Nobody else can create your life. You can just behte jao, as I said, GPS set by somebody else, you are walking somebody else's road. You want to take back ownership of your life, you have to decide that you are the creator of your life. And you are here for a reason. Imagine in a country like India, how women are treated. All of us have been highly educated, whatever it may be. Parents may have been toxic, they may have pushed you to doing it. We are all doctors. Most of us are highly specialized or super specialized or subspecialized. You are here for a reason. You are chosen by the universe to be a healer. You are chosen by the universe to be a leader. Right? Remember that. You are whoever you decide to be. Tomorrow you want to stand for elections and become prime minister. Who's going to stop you? You can be whatever you want. Or you decide कि अभी सब बंद करने का. I want to set up a business and I want to become a multi-millionaire. Okay. You are whoever you decide to be. So here is a pledge which I offer to my other program, Power MD, and I want to offer it to you as well. Okay, Dr. Mekha is saying one excuse, feeling very hot while cooking and not liking doing it on most days. Okay, so maybe you can take breaks. You can stand under a fan beach mein. Or you can say that I'm not going to cook every day. I will cook in the evening when it's not so hot. Somebody else has to cook breakfast and lunch, right? So figure out how to make these things work for you. Okay, so here is a pledge. What is a pledge? Pledge is like an oath, right? Like we've all taken the Hippocrates oath. So here is the pledge we're going to take today. And if you want to say it aloud with me, you don't have to unmute, but you want to just say it aloud wherever you're sitting. That is always more powerful, because when you speak something aloud, your subconscious hears it and your body recognizes it, right? So you can say it with me. I am no longer available for self-abandon. I am no longer available for energy-draining relationships. I am no longer available for disrespectful behavior. I am no longer available for guilt-driven decisions. I am no longer available for people who only take and never give. I choose me. Okay, so Dr. Sudha was asking, this is the first step. You say, I choose me. Okay, I hope all of you said that aloud wherever you are sitting. Because this is very, very powerful to remind yourself. I am a doctor. I am a healer. I am a force of the universe.
I am a doctor, I am a healer, I am a force.
I am the most powerful person, and I choose to be the most powerful person. Nobody else can validate that choice. Nobody can else tell me. And here I hear you what you're saying, Dr. Indu. I don't feel comfortable putting myself first. I feel like it's wrong. Why putting yourself first is so difficult for you is something which requires a lot of healing. And as I've been saying, it's a journey. Just because I'm telling you to put yourself first doesn't mean you're going to be able to put yourself first, right? I also had to go through a long journey. I felt the same way. That, putting myself first means, am I being selfish? Am I abandoning all the values that I believed all this time? Am I not here to serve others? Shouldn't I be there for the people I love? So it is a journey you have to undertake, because so much conditioning. How many of you have seen a hot air balloon, or you've been in a hot air balloon? You know what it is, right? There's this basket and you sitting in it and then the balloon goes up. So one is, of course, because of the fire that balloon builds up, but also if you've been in it or if you've seen it at close quarters, there are these sandbags on the outside which hold the balloon down, right? What this whole 2 hours exercise was for you to release those sandbags. Conditioning gone, expectations gone, validation not needed, somebody saying bad things about me not required, disrespect go away. Then only you will rise up. So it is not easy, but it is important. As long as you accept that it is important and you reframe your question rather than saying, oh, I don't think I can put myself first, ask yourself, how can I learn to put myself first? What barriers inside me can I overcome so that I can put myself first? How can I change my perception that putting myself first is not selfish, but is actually the most critical first step to be able to do anything for anybody else? Right? So once you reframe the question, no, then the answers also become simpler. So that is very small window into all the work that we need to do to empower ourselves. Because if we don't empower ourselves, nobody's going to come to rescue us. Anybody seen Superman in the theater with your children or by yourself? No superhero is coming to rescue us. We have to become our own superhero. Okay? We have to build our own cape. We have to get our own superpowers. Saying, I choose me, creating the boundary, look at yourself in the mirror every day. Just look at yourself in the mirror every day and look at yourself in the eyes and say, wow, I am so proud of you. I love you so much. And that is so difficult sometimes for us to do because you'll feel so awkward. You'll be like, what is this weird thing Dr. Suchitra has told me to do? I'm going to look at myself in the mirror. Crazy people look at themselves in the mirror and talk. Amitabh Bachchan in drunk scenes, he looks at himself in the mirror and talks. How can I do that? Do it. Connect with yourself first. Because without that, you're not going to be able to have power over your own life. Thank you so much, everyone who's been here, sat through till the end, and all of you who are sending those lovely hearts which are bubbling up all over the chat. And it's been absolutely fabulous having all of you here. A special thank you to those of you who shared, because I know it takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of honesty, vulnerability to share. But I hope you realize that when other people shared their stories, how much power it added to the room. And thank you to everyone who added in the chat, gave your blessings, gave tathastu, sent so much love to those who shared their stories. And as I said, if you want to stay in touch further separately, I put my WhatsApp number in the chat. Just WhatsApp me your name so that I'll save you. I'll add you to the other groups in which I can offer these programs. And of course, Dr. Samyata is here, Dr. Nilima is here. I am also part of the WOMAIN team. So I'm more than happy to offer this to all of us in that community as well, anytime. If there is anything in particular you think that you want to know more about, let's just take 1 minute, and if you put it in the chat, then I will know what I can plan to prioritize if we do the sessions again. Do you want to know more about boundaries? Do you want to know more about self-love? Do you want to know more about toxic relationships? Because, I'm happy to offer all of them, but we can prioritize the one that most people in this group want. So anyone wants to add in the chat, please go ahead. And since Dr. Nilima is here and she's also been one of our big powerful forces behind this group, I am going to just request Dr. Nilima, do you want to say a few words in closing? It would be lovely to hear from you. Dr. Samyata already shared in the beginning, but you can also, I'm more than happy to hear from both of you. Really appreciate both of you being here. I know you're super busy. Dr. Nilima's in the OPD, but still she has joined us. So Dr. Nilima, if you're able to unmute and share, we would love to hear a few words from you. And then we can close. Okay, maybe she's in the clinic and not able to speak right now. Dr. Nilima or Dr. Samyata, anything you want to add?
Shalini ma'am is there. Ma'am, do you want to share your experience? Shalini ma'am?
Who is there? Yeah, sure, definitely. Yes.
So
Any feedback from the session? And yes.
Nice workshop, and I really enjoyed it. It's just, I think, luckily I have had a smooth sailing so far in my life, with a few ups and downs, and somehow, like you were saying, somehow my patients, they all come and tell me that after we met you, half our problems are gone. So I feel happy, to be able to help. And maybe because I deal with children, I have to be more gentle. And so that's how gradually I've built it up. But I see a lot of women doctors, especially the youngsters, struggling around me. And I think we really have to help them. And this was a very good platform to do that. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Shalini. Thank you. Is there anybody else who wants to just give quick feedback? I know a lot of you are putting it in the chat and you're sending those hearts. And that is so beautiful for me to receive that lovely energy from all of you. Dr. Nilima, just checking in again, if you are able to unmute and share. I know you are in the OPD, but if you can, that would be beautiful. But if not, I don't want to hold people back. I know it's late in the day. You've got a whole weekend to look after. Remember,
and finally, what I
choose
want
me.
to say,
Yes,
what
Dr.
you
Soumyata,
have
go ahead.
guided was a different perspective, what I was not thinking only. Matlab,
Okay.
it was like something I should improve myself to think in that level. But till this age, what I learned was acceptance, let go, and if something is not happening according to you, so God has doing what they want. And what God is planning for you, it is better than what you are thinking for yourself. So these three things which make me how to accept negative situations around me, what I want to say to all of us.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. Soumyata. Just I would like to add a little bit to it is that, as Dr. Soumyata says, absolutely true, but let it not be a passive acceptance. Let it be an empowered choice to accept, because last time in the workshop there was somebody, she was like, colleagues are toxic, this, that, but I need the job. Not a doctor, some other workshop I was doing. So I said, that's fine. Change your inner conversation. Say, although it is toxic, I am staying here because I choose that my financial independence is more important to me right now than having some happy, loving relationship with my colleagues. Fine. Don't make yourself a victim. Saying, oh, poor me, I'm forced to work here despite these toxic colleagues because I need money. Don't make yourself helpless and pathetic.
Choice
the
is
energy.
important. No?
Exactly. Choice is important, because what does the choice mean? Choice means I choose me. I choose to do this particular thing in spite of whatever else is happening. It is my choice. It is not that passively, अच्छा चलो हो ही रहा है, भगवान ने कुछ अच्छा सोचा होगा. वो भी आप positively choose कर सकते हो. As Dr. Soumyata said, be positive about it. Say, okay, for some reason universe has put me in this place. What am I going to learn from this situation? Let me do that. Let me improve my confidence. Let me learn negotiation. Let me take leadership and say, okay, let's have a signature campaign to say this particular HOD is sexually harassing people. Let me lead. Let me make that choice. Maybe universe wants you to do that also. We don't know, right? But always be open to learn, grow and evolve. Always be open to love yourself first. Okay? So I hope all of you are going to go back now and not fall back into the old pattern of self-abandonment.
I am leaving the